Jagadananda Prabhu, from boyhood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was in Navdeep Leela also. And he was like Satyabhama, having some man. So, Sanatana Goswami was the prime minister of any Muslim king, and he was so intelligent, learner of all Shastra. In Puri once he came, and then he met with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then he returned to Vrindavan. Jagadananda was there. He wanted to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Oh, he wanted to serve so much. Sometimes anyone brought a vessel, full pot of very fragrant Ayurveda oil. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sometimes he used to faint in Krishna consciousness. So he brought with great care. He gave it to Govinda that, oh, yes, put on the head of Mahaprabhu, oh, some oil tea. Then Govinda told to Mahaprabhu that Jagadananda has ordered me to put some oil on your heads. This is Ayurvedic, very powerful, like medicine. Mahaprabhu told very humbly that take this oil to Jagannath temple and give it for Deepak, for lamp. So he could not put the oil on the head of Mahaprabhu. Next day, Jagadananda asked to Govinda that, have you put this oil on his head? He told us, I could not. Why? Oh, he ordered me to give this oil to Jagannath. And by thus, oh, I will have that thing. He became very upset. And he took that oil pot and in the front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he smashed. And all water and oil was here and there. And he became so angry. And he went from there. He went to his bhajan kuti and he locked the door. How are you, can you say? Locked. Anyhow. One day, 2 days, he was crying, but not coming to Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu thinking that, oh, he has some anger to me because I am not accepted. And that is why he has that. One day, become third day. Then on fourth day in morning he went and he knocked the door. Oh Jagadananda, oh Jagadananda. But he was not replying, only weeping. Mahaprabhu told that for 3 days I have not taken anything. Empty stomach. And now I am so much hungry. I am going to take bath in ocean. And very soon I am coming. Be prepared of all kinds of preparations for me. And telling he went away. And he went to sea and took bath. And he again returned after 1 hour. In the meantime, Jagadananda, he took bath, changed his clothes, and then began to prepare so many kinds of vegetables, rice, dal, chapati, and so many things. Chutney of tamarind, so many things. About more than no, 56 more than. And he brought a very big banana leaf, 2, 3, and he preparation. Govind was with Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu told, he requested Govind that tell Mahaprabhu to take prasadam. Mahaprabhu told that I cannot take. Oh, there should be 2 seats and 2 leaves. And I will sit with Jagadanand. And we will take prasadam together. And if he is not taking, then I am going. Empty stomach. Then Jagadanand told to, not directly telling to Mahaprabhu, not direct talk. He told to Govinda, tell Mahaprabhu that he should take gladly, and after that, when he will finish, then we will both take together remnant of Mahaprabhu. Then he told to Mahaprabhu, you should take, he will take after you. So only remnant he will take. Then Mahaprabhu took prasadam. And then after that, that remnant was divided into 2 and eternal. Then he became happy. But he was not coming directly to speak Mahaprabhu anything. Even there was some smell of man. He went again after 2-3 days to Mahaprabhu and told that I am going to Vrindavan. Please order me. I want your permission. Mahaprabhu said, why you are going? Oh, for so many long time I wanted to go with you, but you could not take me with you. So now I want to go and to take darshan. I want to be there and to serve Radha Krishna Kanju. Mahaprabhu told, you can go, but not for long time. Go and see and return back. Don't climb on the top of Govardhan. You are not qualified to be there. You can quarrel there. You can see the rules and regulations. If Brajvasi is not taking bath or what he is doing. So then you will judge according to your mentality. So you make some offenses. So don't be there. You should return back. He went anyhow. But when he left Puri and he came to border under a tree, then he was lamenting so much. Oh, why I did so mistake. I cannot be live without Mahaprabhu. I have done wrong. Should I go, return? But how can I return? Then what will I answer? And he was in dilemma. What to do, not to do. 1 day, 2 days, he was there, weeping. Anyhow, he consoled his mind. Anyhow, I should go. Then he went to Vrindavan. And he met Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami told that you should be here and see with me all the pastime places. One day Sanatan Goswami was out of his bhajan kuti and he was cooking. He never took any madhukari. But I am not qualified for madhukari. Sanatan Goswami, Rup Goswami, they are qualified. I cannot digest. We cannot digest madhukari. We are not qualified. So he was there and cooking. And what became? Sanatan Goswami took any saffron cloth from anyone and he did like this and he returned. Then he was cooking and the pot was on fire, stove. It was so hot. It was khichdi. it was doing takbak. Takbak, you know? Violin. So Sanatan Goswami, he asked Sanatan Goswami, oh, you are very faithful to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. From where is this collected this cloth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He told simply that it is not of Mahaprabhu, it is of any Mayavadi here. And he gave me, and I, of Mayavadi, he at once took that pot and he then Chaitanya, Sanatana Goswami became very humble and he was just smiling and telling, oh, I was testing you. I know that you have so much faith on Mahaprabhu. So much faith. And you cannot bear any others, the saffron cloth of Mayavadi. You are so attached to Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu rebukes you. What is it meaning? He loves you so much. So he gives you madhurya ras of rebuking. And to me, Sanatana Goswami told, he said, Sanatana Goswami is so honorable person. He is so high class of devotee. He is superior to all. So this is like Nimbaras. Nimbaras, the juice of neem tree. One Sanatana Goswami was again in Puri, and Sanatana Goswami was feeling himself that I'm so low, I'm so wretched person. He has some itches coming in the way, some mosquitoes has gotten, so much juice from his body was coming. Pus, very bad smelling. And Mahaprabhu, what he used to do? To embrace him. And Sanatana Goswami said, don't touch Prabhu, don't touch Prabhu. But then Sanatana Goswami met with Jagdana and then told, what should I do? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always wants to embrace me and I am so wretched and this disease and what coming? What's coming and Mahaprabhu touches me. What should I do? Should I return to Vrindavan? Yes, you should go to Vrindavan. Don't be here. Otherwise Mahaprabhu will touch you and he may have some disease, so you should quickly go. Mahaprabhu heard this and told to Jagadan, oh Jagai, you are a boy of only 2 days and you are being instructor of Sanatana Goswami. How he is superior and you have dared to give some intelligence and advice. Don't think you like that you are so of 2 days only, boy only, having no intelligence. He gave that. We should honor. Especially those who are pure devotees, they should be humble and try to give honor to others. This is only way to progress in Krishna consciousness.